hiking Copter Ridge in the Angeles National Forest. Parking is at Dawson Saddle on Angeles Crest Highway. The location is 10.3 miles west of the ACH and Big Pines Highway Junction. The hike visits a total of 3 summits. The difficulty rating for the hike is moderate to strenuous. The hike begins. The trail rises above Angeles Crest Highway from Dawson Saddle. The Bobcat Fire managed to leave this portion of the forest alone. Throop Peak appears ahead. Closing in on a Boy Scout troop making slow progress ahead. A little busy at the PCT junction as I took a right. Then there is a quick right on a use trail. The pathway climbs up to the summit of Throop Peak. Approaching the summit. On the summit of Throop Peak, which is peak number 1 on the day. Elevation, 9,138 feet. The Summit 360. This is also the highest point on the hike. Leaving the mountain to continue on. Reconnecting with the PCT. Along the way, Mount Hawkins appears. The PCT continues west toward Mount Hawkins, making a left turn for the Mount Hawkins Summit Trail. Approaching the summit. On the summit of Mount Hawkins, which is peak number 2. The Summit 360. Elevation, 8,850 feet. The summit shot and views. Then, it was time to go out the back door to head toward Copter Ridge. This involved losing elevation on the ridge before reaching its overlook point. A sometimes faint use trail takes you there. several saplings growing next to many healthy-looking ones. The descent was gradual, but it is definitely more noticeable when coming back up. Stepping over some deadfall. Passing through a peaceful shady section on the ridge. Descending to reach a peak is not the norm when hiking, so I definitely needed to expect to exert more energy than usual after visiting the summit than normal. Rising to a high point on the ridge. More descending would follow since it was a false summit. A false summit in reverse, that is. After finding no markers here, I descended to the next bump on the ridge. Losing more elevation as I went. Reaching the next bump, but the higher portion was a little further ahead. Approaching the summit. On the summit of Copter Ridge. This is the third and final peak. The Summit 360. Good views of Hawkins Ridge to the west. Elevation, 7,499 feet. The summit register. On the summit and looking at the climb it will take to get back up where I came down from. One mountain at a time, though. Next target is getting back to Mount Hawkins. The easy descent transforms into a constant climb. Heading up to the false summit on the ridge. Appreciating some brief level land while crossing the false summit. Then the climb continues. In total, it is about 1,400 feet of climbing back to Mount Hawkins, but it feels like more. This return climb made me question the wisdom of descending in the first place. However, sometimes you got to give a little to get the goal. But all regrets were quickly dashed when resummiting Mount Hawkins. Back on top of Mount Hawkins. Heading back to the PCT. Back on the Pacific Crest Trail and turning right. I followed the PCT around the south slope of Throop Peak instead of resummiting it. Returning to the PCT junction with the Dawson Saddle Trail. A little less crowded this time around. Going back down the Dawson Saddle Trail. No longer taking the forest scenery up here for granted. The next fire may take these views away for good. Catching glimpses of the road below. Back to Dawson Saddle. Mission accomplished. Not all peak climbs are created equal. However, with good preparation and execution, these peaks become 3 new ones to your peak climbing collection.